Well, there you have it. Welcome in to Under the Lights, our second show. I'm Carson Schubert with the Skull Purple podcast, and I'm going to tell you that even though the Vikings are 3-1, there are some things to improve on.
Hi, I'm Dave with Minnesota Sports Talk. It's the quarter pole of the NFL season, so get ready to talk about the NFC North division. Let's go.
That and more coming up on Under the Lights right after this. Welcome in once again, and glad each and every one of you have joined us here on Under the Lights. We're excited to bring you this one, and we're excited that the Minnesota Vikings are 3-1 to start the season, but there are some things to improve on, as I said, so we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Dave, how you feeling, man?
Feeling like I'm 3-1. Ready to
That's
go,
right.
man. Number one in the division. Number two in the playoff hunt. Feeling pretty good about it.
First quarter of the season definitely went pretty well. That's for sure. That is for sure. There's lots of things to improve on. Long time left to improve, which I think is good to hear too. And again, still things being implemented in this offense. But make sure to go ahead and like, subscribe, ring the bell to both of our channels, Skull Purple Podcast, as well as Minnesota Sports Talk. And if you'd like to be a guest picker for our pick six later on tonight, make sure to email skullpurplepodcast@gmail.com and we will get you in. I'm going to get the email up right now just so I am prepared for later. And then you can make your picks and try and beat us. We'll get to who won last week. It was a pretty even split across the board. I'll just tell you a little hint on that right now. But Dave, what do you say? Should we go ahead and get into the games of the week?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. Oh, we got a commenter in here already. We got Shane Purple Gang, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Really appreciate that. Looking forward to having you and everybody else joining us. Make sure to put in your comments as we get this thing rolling. Well, let's talk about the UTL games of the week, Under the Lights games of the week. And we're kind of sticking in the division here today with it being the quarter of the season over the first quarter. Just crazy to believe, but let's go ahead and talk about maybe the most crazy game. It was kind of a toss-up between the Vikings and the Lions game, I'd say. 48-45, the Seahawks take care of the Lions at Ford Field in Detroit. It was very high-scoring game. Like the Lions kind of fell behind a couple of different times, and again, kind of made that comeback, kind of like they did against Philadelphia in Week 1, and then still ended up losing, like they did in Week 1. But boy, the Lions' defense looked atrocious for most of that game against a Seahawks offense that's not very good. Dave, what are your thoughts on this one?
Well, the turnovers and the pick six, the Lions shooting themselves in the foot on penalties, it is a recipe for disaster. And yeah, you're right. The defense just allowed too many yards on the ground, and made Geno Smith look like an all-pro. It was a rough day all the way around for the Lions. I mean, Jared Goff had a good day. I mean, 26 for 39, 378 yards, 4 TDs. Only 1 sack, but it's just not enough. And Hawkinson, man, just played better than best game of his career probably. And it was just amazing how many yards he got. Busted play. He took it for 81 yards. It was an incredible day for Hawkinson.
The Hawkeyes showing out in the NFL, baby. You better believe it.
Yeah.
They aren't showing out on offense.
They didn't have anybody to throw to them in college, but
that's right.
They're showing up in the pros, though.
That's right. Man, if we could just get an Iowa team with all the pros that we have right now, things could be a little bit better, maybe offensively. But anyways, I thought Jared Goff played pretty well, I think, yesterday. Just just based on what I'm seeing. I know guy that I did a Lions preview with last week, he kind of thinks that Goff played better. So it'll be interesting to see if he can keep playing as well as he has played going forward. But I think he's still maybe not, what you're, obviously he's not a top tier quarterback, but he's a quarterback that you can probably win with, I guess, at least some. I don't know if you can get to the playoffs with him or not, but it'll be interesting to kind of watch the Lions go throughout the season. But to me, if I'm a Lions fan, I got to be pretty disappointed with yesterday, because that's a team in Seattle that they probably should have beat.
Yeah, and Seattle might be, who knows, because the way Geno Smith played, their running game that they had going on was pretty awesome. Geno Smith ran for 49 yards too. He was mobile. He was accurate. He had touch on the ball. DK Metcalf was the old DK Metcalf, and he's still 24 years old. Mm-hmm. So if they fix that defense, they may have something.
Yeah, and the thing I think with Geno too, we saw him play pretty well in that first game on Monday night, and then he's kind of went back to reality the last couple of weeks, and now he played really well again. So it'll be interesting to see if he can stay consistent going forward too. There's Derek commenting, fellas.
Thanks for joining.
Hey,
you said you were going to join, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, keeping his word. And we got Cutie Pie in the building with a skull. Appreciate you joining here, Cutie Pie. And
that's actually my wife.
That's your wife? That's your wife. Maybe I shouldn't be saying
Ari.
that then.
Hi, Ari. Well, that's what she put down as her name. That was her email address from high school.
Okay. All right.
All right, Cutie Pie. Thanks for
appreciate you joining. Very good. Anything else that stuck out to you about this game there, Dave, before we move on to the Patriots and Packers game? Or actually, maybe we'll move to Patriots Packers after this.
Well, just again, the Lions finding a way to have all the hype about them, all the hype going into this season, and just piss it away. And it's undisciplined football, and they gave us all we could handle. But the turnovers, penalties, special teams turnovers, it was not a good day for them, and you can't win like that. And you can't win giving up 48 points to a Seahawks team that only had 43 the previous 3 games. So yeah, it was just a bad day, and you don't expect these guys to, turn it around anytime soon with giving up so many yards on the ground and the turnovers and the penalties. So yeah, that's all I got to say about them.
The one thing you can never say about Dan Campbell's teams, though, is they never give up. They never give up.
Fight to the end.
Yep. And we got Rap in the building. The purple MLK is in the house. Welcome in, Rap. We always appreciate you tuning in, man. Love to have you here. Derek, I had to express my thoughts for yesterday's game. Yeah.
Well, stick around. We're going to hit it hard. This is all about the NFC North today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it, man. So looking forward to hearing what you have to say, too. Let's go ahead and move over to the game that was almost a loss for one team that we would have liked to see lose, Packers, getting an overtime win over the Patriots, 27-24 as time expires. And my hope for Bailey Zappi to win MVP went out the window, unfortunately. But a performance. A pretty decent performance. I mean, he wasn't spectacular after that one touchdown drive that they led, but I thought that the fact that the Patriots were able to stay in this game was pretty impressive, considering they were on their third quarterback. And I think the Packers, some will say the Lions will be battling for playoff position. Boy, if they keep playing like that, they will not be playing in the playoffs or even battling, because those, like I said, those are the teams you can't allow that kind of points to. And
Yeah, Rab was giving me crap before the game. I'm gonna call you out for this. He was saying that you and so still think they're gonna playoff teams. Yeah, I mean, I had them power ranked 12th going into this week, thinking they still had opportunity to be borderline playoff team. But obviously, it's going to be a struggle now when you lose to a lowly Seahawks team the way they did. So I only had in my power rankings, I said I only had confidence in the top 9, and they were outside of that top 9, and now they will be probably outside of the top 15 the way they played defensively. So Rap says he's called it this whole time, even though he had him ahead of the Packers earlier in the season. So yeah, I remember, Rap. I remember.
Things have changed.
He changed his mind though. So
how the turntables turn. But I think the Lions, like, their greatest strength is also their greatest weakness, and that's Dan Campbell. He's the guy that elevates them to where they can play and compete in these games, but also the guy that has the decisions in the fourth quarter that end up losing the game, like we saw against the Vikings. Why do you not go for it on 4th and 4 after you had went for it and made it every time except one in the game? But
in my point, I thought they should have punted. They make us go the whole length of the field, or not the whole length, but go 60 yards in 1 minute to get a field goal. So I thought they should have punted it, but yeah, he kicks a field goal. But he says, yeah, I should have went for it. I mean, we just stuffed them on 4th down to get our the previous score. So yeah, it was he probably kicking the field goal is probably the worst of the choices he could have made.
Yeah. That's the Vikings fan in me. I think he's saying that in reference to him picking the Lions to be better than the Packers, just because we don't want the Packers to be good, but which is fair.
I believe you. I believe you, Rap. Totally believe you.
Oh, Derek. And then we got him laughing. We got people laughing, so I'm glad that we're able to bring some joy at least to people's lives here so far today. But anything else on the Packers game? I think Rodgers got off to a really slow start yesterday, which was interesting. And then, like we've seen from Cousins the last 2 weeks, he was able to make the throws that he needed to when he needed to, and that ended up being the difference in the game in overtime. After the Patriots couldn't just get one first down when they had the ball at midfield. Are you kidding me?
It's like they went in. Like, it was like they're calling plays like if they were at their own goal line. You know what I'm saying? Like that they were at their own 1 yard line and were playing so conservative that they would just run the ball, twice and then not even really have a decent play design for that 3rd down. So it was rough. It's not like it was it's a Belichick team that he would actually be competitive in a game like that. Now after the game is over, the media, and believe it or not, the media, the local media and the national media are asking Rodgers about the quality of their win and if he's happy about the way they won, and he said yes. And I think when you ask a player like that, just like the Vikings, were asked about that, they're gonna take the win. Players are gonna take the win. Coaches might go back, criticize and critique, and the fans can criticize and critique. But the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers both have parallel seasons going here, where they're barely winning games. They should blow teams out. And I think may not blow out the Bucks, but only winning 14-12 with a depleted receiving core. You're expecting them to do better than that, and you expected them to do better than against New England with a 3rd-string quarterback. So they're just happy to get the win. We're both happy to go 3-1. And honestly, we get a lot of games out there that are so winnable that if we just do our job at home, do our job in the division, we could be a higher seed in this playoff. And the Green Bay's thinking the same thing.
I think I'm just going to leave this up the entire show. Packers suck. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Doyle, all right.
Nice to have you. Is he one of your listeners? He's one of mine. I can't remember.
He is Doyle. One of mine. He is my dad, actually. So definitely a loyal listener.
Your last name, duh.
Yes.
Glad to meet you, Mr. Shuby.
Yeah, there you go. You've met Dave. You've met Dave, so you're doing well. This is Steggy time, or also known as the man. God dang it! I feel bad. I don't get your mind out, or your your name out of my head all of a sudden. I sent him the message, and your name's Tony. Sorry, I am so sorry, Tony. He's gonna be joining us later, and he's probably gonna not join us after me not remembering his name, but he's going to be our guest picker later on, one of them. And you too can also be a guest picker by joining Skull Purple Podcast at gmail.com. Yeah, it's interesting that the Packers weren't able to win as handily as, but like I said, I thought the Vikings could have won handily yesterday. They had opportunities to do so and didn't do it. So, I mean, wins are wins, especially in this league. Appreciate you still wanting to be there after I missed your name. Hey, it's a Monday, sometimes that happens on Mondays, right? We forget names. But I think Green Bay, like I said, I don't think they're as good as they have been in years past, but I do think them getting that win is still huge. And, like you said, it's just good for them to be able to win for their sake, obviously not our sake, but getting a win is, in this league, especially how competitive this league is, like it's just important to get wins, and the Vikings have 3 of them. So do the Packers so far. But anything else in this game there, Dave?
Yeah, just Jones, Dillon, both had good days. Lazard had kind of a breakout day for him as their number 1 finally. And so, there's some good things I can take away from. But yeah, you're right. Rodgers had a rough start. And again, just like Cousins was able to bring it home at the end of the game.
Yeah. And that is what matters in the win and loss column, which we care about the most. Let's move on. Let's move on to the part of the show that we care about the most, the Vikings. 28-25 off the double doink. They get the victory. They send the Saints home, marching home or marching out, as Paul Allen put it. That was pretty clever. So great to see the Vikings get the win over the Saints anytime, no matter where it is, London, New Orleans, Minnesota, wherever, we'll take it. And, it was not the prettiest of wins, but like, should I bring him up? Chris Boyd and his comments.
Yeah, we can talk about Chris Boyd.
Yeah, get out of here if you don't like the team or whatever. But I think that's an interesting point. But I will also say, like, there are still things you can improve on. And Kevin O'Connell said it after every game. Kirk said it after every game. Like, there's still things that we can improve on. So you can be happy that you won, but also looking forward because the season's not over yet. So, but yeah, like I said, didn't go great. First half offense didn't punch it into the end zone when they needed to at times. The defense was good in the first half, went away in the second half. Then, yeah, it just ended up being that the Vikings were able to somehow pull out the victory. And again, that's what you need. That's all you need.
So
go ahead, Dave.
I think it's something Chris Boyd should just kept internally, because as the 6th cornerback on the team, and really he's a special teams ace. He made a great play in that game. And since he made a great play in the game, he felt like he could go on Twitter and call out the Vikings fanhood. Now, I can understand. I went, I'm on all these Facebook fan clubs and stuff like that, and I see comments even after being 3-1. There's guys on there that are just complete trolls. They call themselves Viking fans, but are like saying, we're not going to damn thing with this team. We're lucky if we win 7 games, just completely negative. So I can see a player who just fought his ass off. They win at the last second. They give us the present of being able to say double doink to Saints fans for the rest of our lives. And then, but it was something that you got to just keep internally, man. You're not a big fan favorite right now. There are some guys that really love him. We got a couple listeners that do love some Chris Boyd, just because his personality, and he's well liked as a personality in the clubhouse. But yeah, you don't need your sixth corner calling out the fan base. You could be Alexander Madison was a little more diplomatic about it. When they were fans, including myself, were calling for him to be traded. It wasn't a diss on him. We think he's just a number 1 running back and we could get value for him, but not anymore. We want to keep him. But yeah, Alexander Madison, more diplomatic about it, telling people to the F you is a different story the way Chris Boyd handled it.
Yeah, and I think Tony's right here. Got your name right this time. I think it's okay to critique your team as long as it's in good faith. And I think I think that's all of us. Like, for me personally, like, the only reason I critique this team is because I want to see them win a championship before, I'm not here.
Don't steal that.
I'm not going to totally steal Purple Daily's theme song or, their theme wording. But, I mean, that is the case. I mean, they've got that spot on. Like, that's what we want to see. We want to see a championship. We want to see multiple championships, but we got to get to one before we can get to multiple. So that's the only goal of critiquing this team, is that they perform better and that they will hopefully choose to, or perform well enough, I should say, to get to a championship and win it. Not just get there this time, like the previous 4 times before I was living, but actually win it. So you're absolutely right there, Tony.
Tony, you make a great point. As long as it's in good faith, there's always going to be people, no matter what industry, no matter what team, no matter what's going on, they're the naysayer, Eeyore of the NFL, and they just want everybody to be as miserable as they are as a fan. One of the reasons I got into this is because Vikings bring me more joy than pain, and I want to share that as much as I can. Now, I make the point in my video that I did about Chris Boyd is that, don't call fans. They have a bad day too, man. They put it themselves out there. Me and Carson put ourselves out there. We were disappointed the way we played, but we're happy as hell we won. There's no doubt about that. But we putting ourselves out there, giving us our viewpoint. We just want to talk about the Vikings, and we got to talk about the bad and the good. And you're getting it in your position room. They're not just telling you how great you are and blowing smoke up your butt. They're talking about, how you're going to get better. And that's all we're doing too. But yeah, we can talk about, the things that happen in the game now. Chris Boyd, take your own advice and let's keep going.
Just silence the fans by keep on winning, Chris Boyd. Yep. Keep on winning and silence the fans that way. Does anyone think that there are ungrateful Vikings fans? Like that's a good point, because how many times have we poured our heart and soul into this team emotionally? Like, I was really emotional yesterday during the game, and that's probably the most emotion I've shown in a Vikings game in a while, just because I've kind of emotionally checked out the last couple of years, and now I'm starting to get into it now. I think that we have proven our loyalty by continuing to
still being Vikings fans after all these years, right?
Cheer for this team year after year on the how many head coaches now that we're still on the same song and dance trying to win the big one. Yeah, I mean, he's 100% right. That's exactly right. He's talking about Breland thought so last year. Interesting Chris Boyd comp right there.
Yeah.
But
Well, the good thing is that we're deep enough that he doesn't have to play and he can just focus on special teams. And he made a great play, and I give him credit for that. So again, and that's a good segue. Our special teams has been awesome.
Yeah.
Even Rager, they outkicked the coverage. Rager made him pay. That was awesome. I think they even got a late hit on that play, if I remember right. So if I'm not mistaken, he got hit late and they got an extra yardage out of it. So it gave us great field position that we didn't really do much with. But the special teams have been spot on. I can't ask for anything better. I don't think we've really had any mistakes. Maybe one muff punt, but he picked it up and it wasn't a problem. And our coverage has been good. We're kicking out of the end zone. We're not letting people get past the 25. All the things that our special teams got an A+ so far for me this season. So I'm really enjoying that.
Yeah, this is an interesting question. So, have we seen improvements since week 1? What do you think, Dave? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, offensive line's improved. I think they had a rough game against Philly. They looked decent against the Packers, not dominant. I think they almost looked dominant against the Lions. I think they maybe regressed a little bit, but I just think the Saints just played a really good game on the defensive line. We did have struggles at time, but going back and looking at every play, it was like a shoelace tackle, a trip play, a guy, throwing his leg out to get Cook. Otherwise, we may have broke a couple. And there was a play, if Cook keeps his feet and doesn't get tripped, he may go house with that play.
That was so frustrating.
So I don't think
I'm sure it was for him too.
I wouldn't call this last week a regression. There was a couple sacks we gave up where just basically we needed to make sure the guys weren't blitzing before we went and double teamed the D tackle and not just let two guys run up the middle. So those are things we can fix, but individual efforts, actual one-on-one matchups, forgive me, O'Neal probably had one of the worst games of his career, but everybody else played pretty solid. And for the most part, O'Neal played solid, but he gave up. Jordan has always killed us, and Jordan has our number. And yeah, he had a day against O'Neal. Other than that, so those are the things that are good. I think our defense has steadily gotten better and more consistent throughout the game. We gave up too many running yards at the end of the game, but you could tell that we played a lot better. I felt like Dantzler, even though he was playing back, was able to react on the ball faster, and that's just showing more comfortability in the defense. So I felt like our defense played better. It's still a long ways to go, though. Still a long ways to go on that. I don't think offensively, play calling, time management, I don't think that's gotten better. Cousins still not consistent all the way through the game. So that hasn't gotten better, but there's some good things out there. The things I talked about, offensive line, cornerbacks are playing a little better. I'm not too it's all coaching when it comes to rushing getting after the quarterback right now. Just the defensive scheme we got going on. I'm just not happy with that. So Ed Donatel still on my list, and he's a member of one right now. So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, to me, there's been some improvement, but I don't know if there's been enough like, oh yeah, that's significantly better than week 1. And it's hard because of how the Vikings won in week 1 too. Like they played a pretty complete game for the most part in week 1. Maybe you'd like to have seen him score one more touchdown in week 1, but they played well. They won the game. They did what they needed to do. And then obviously a complete collapse in week 2. So obviously from week 1 to week 2 was not good. Week 1 to week 4, I don't know. It's kind of hard.
Eagles are showing they're the real deal, though. I mean, the Eagles are showing they're the real deal.
For
sure.
I
like Tony, right? Tony's point here, KOC's ability to change the play calling mid-game. That's issue I always had last year is that we didn't adapt. We didn't make a change. We are very successful throwing the ball downfield and with crossing routes. This from last game to this game, he threw in more crossing routes. Justin Jefferson making Lattimore trip against his other player. Diggs was lined up outside or split out. He did a crossing route. Both successful. I think we had another one. So he was able to adjust 1 week to the next to get Justin Jefferson more open. A lot more motion with him this week. At the end of the game, we started throwing the ball downfield, taking chances, fly route with Justin Jefferson, up the middle, drawing that pass interference penalty. We were taking chances, throwing the ball downfield. We're getting first downs. I agree. He started to take more chances because we needed it. Honestly, I want him to be open like that the whole game. The whole game, I want to see him more open because there were so many 3rd and longs where we hand the ball off, stuff, then we throw an out, not an out, but just throw it behind the line of scrimmage to a receiver, hoping they'll get yardage. And then the next drive, we just reversed it. We did the out, and then we did the run, and we're sitting there at 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10. We got to stop that. We got to get more yards. We got to play moving forward. So I think he's learning. I think the offense is learning. I think we'll see that steady improvement.
So there's a few things I would like to continue to see with KOC. Definitely his play calling throughout the game, like he's kind of saying here. And I think we've seen some improvement with that, like you were talking about there. But I still think there needs to be more of that because we saw how well that first drive went yesterday. Like that was really good. We saw the Vikings do what they needed to do, put it in the end zone. Like once they had that penalty to put them back at like 2nd and 15 or 2nd and goal from the 15 or whatever it was, I was like, oh boy, here we go. Field goal time, and that's what the old offense would have probably ended up doing. That's what I feel like anyway. And now, you get a little bit more creative of a play call with a little screen to Alexander Mattison, kind of unexpected from where he was on the field, but he comes up with a big reception, runs in almost untouched for the touchdown. Like that was a play. I love seeing that from KOC. And I do think that's something we don't see as much down near the goal line. And that's maybe why it was unexpected too. So I like that. But I think going forward, I want to see more continued growth in play calling as the game goes on, more continued growth in changing the game plan as the defense changes their game plan mid-game, and I think obviously that's something the defense for us needs to continue to do is continue to change their game plan if it's warranted, which a lot of times it has been. But that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on. I thought that we ran the ball too much on 2nd and long yesterday. I think that's something we need to. Yeah, I think that's something we need to get figured out. We did that a lot last year, and under the Kubiak offense. So I really would like to see more passes on 2nd and long because really, usually the defense is, the defense is not going to give up a lot of run plays, I don't think, for big yards on 2nd down. It just a 2nd and long, I should say. But
and you got to feel like how the game is going. You're in the 3rd quarter and you're running the ball on 2nd and long. That hey, I am not worried if you throw it 3 times in a row in that situation. If you got stuff on 1st down on any play, I'm not opposed to you throwing the ball 3 times. Come on. I think you got all the weapons in the world. Hey, get it to Cook on a swing route or something. I don't care. Just something. Put that Justin Jefferson in the backfield offense we got going on looks good. The jet sweep, instead of always at the goal line, do it at midfield. Things that are a little more creative. Now you made the point we looked really good on that one drive. Now keep in mind there was 2 other drives where Jefferson has the ball behind him. A ball I think he would catch a lot of the times. Then the next play he misses him wide open. He throws it to the wrong guy. So that drive would have ended really well, right? It looked good. And then the munt drop when we're at, a 3rd down and 1, and we end up kicking a field goal going into half. that could have been a touchdown. So there were times we had consistent drives that we shot ourselves in the foot. It's almost like it's contagious. Interception, my cousins. Oh, let's drop a ball. Let's drop another one. There was at least 4, maybe 5 drops in that game. So that could have been drive killers on all of them, but at least 2 of them really hurt because one's in the end zone and one's on a third down play. So it could have been better. And I think we got to have the right personnel on the play. I think an Irv Smith Jr. would have been a better option running that route. I just feel like we got to feel this out, get the right players in there. I think it's all going to come together. And I think KOC made it a good point that, we're 3-1 and we're not clicking yet. And it's going to click and be there when it does, because it's going to be good. That's my viewpoint on that.
And I think that's a good point, because I think this is also a learning time for KOC, because he's trying to learn exactly what his offense is capable of doing, and also calling timeout at the end of the half. But I mean, from just the perspective of trying to see what his players' tendencies are and what they're able to do, what they're maybe not able to do. So like we saw with Dalvin Cook lining up on the outside in the game, like just implementing those things slowly to try and see what he can get away with, what he can do. But it's going to be interesting to see if the Vikings can continue to improve the offense and kind of, throw in a few wrinkles here every now and then. Like we saw with that Dalvin being on the outside and just some different things. And I do think, I agree. I think we're going to see it click more and more as the season goes on. And as Kirk says, he's still trying to get it to work on his end too with everything. So I think everybody's got to be on the same page, and we're getting closer. But anything else?
Speaking on turning the page.
Yeah.
We could talk about the upcoming game and recap the Bears.
Yeah. Well, the Bears did not do well against the Giants. 20-12 was the score. The Bears did have a fun little play at the end. I don't know if you saw that. They almost it wasn't that close to getting into the end zone, but they kind of lateraled the ball back and forth a few different times, and it was looking like maybe they had a chance to keep it going. And then,
it was well put together. It's like, hey, they all got organized so we could throw it across the field. So yeah, they did a really good job putting that. What do they call it? The Stanford play usually.
Yeah.
The Stanford band play.
Yep.
But yeah. My takeaways from that game is it looked like the 2012 Vikings playing each other, honestly, because of the running game and mediocre quarterback play. Daniel Jones can run, but he's not the most accurate passer. But Barkley is the real deal. He's 100% back. He might be the best running back in the league right now. It's nice to have him because he's my RB1 in one of my leagues, and I had to pick a running back late, so I got Barkley, and I'm pretty happy about that. Now on the other side, the Bears running the ball pretty well, and honestly, Fields, even though he went 11 for 22, so that's 50%, 174 yards. His receivers are not getting separation, but he's getting them the ball with a chance. He's throwing up 50-50 balls. He's not missing, but he just doesn't have the quality of receiver to get separation. He's really mobile. What did he have? 7 for 52 yards. And you know how the Vikings hate mobile quarterbacks. I don't want to call it a trap game, but we can't play 10 yards off and let them have catches and runs with those receivers.
Hey,
we can't
Dave,
make them look like all-stars.
Tony's got something to tell you here. Thanks for the Christian Ponder PTSD.
It's like watching Daniel Jones a little faster than Christian Ponder, but it was like watching Christian Ponder play. Only Christian Ponder could win a game only throwing 71 yards because he's got Adrian Peterson rushing for 200, right? And that's what Barkley had 146. Jones had 68. Ponder would have mixed in an interception or two or a fumble, but it was like watching two pretty good running teams facing each other that just do not have good quarterback play or good wide receivers. So it's an ugly game to watch. But if you like watching high school football with all the running that happens in high school football, you would have enjoyed this game.
I do want to mention this comment from Matt. I think that is a good point, too. As the offense is still growing, the defense is still growing. I will say it would be nice to see more growth from the defense. I think we've seen more growth from the offense at this point, but I do agree. There is still a new scheme being implemented on the defensive side as well. To your point, that was a tough game to watch yesterday. The Bears and Giants. I mean, it is fun to watch the running backs go at it and be able to put up the numbers they are. Barkley's fun to watch, and like you mentioned, your stud last week, Herbert, filling in for Montgomery. He's fun to watch too. So it'll be interesting to see if Justin Fields continues to play like he did the last couple of weeks against the Vikings, or if he will actually turn it on, because our one of our weaknesses being, of course, the mobile quarterback.
And I think, Matt, we made the point earlier that one of my points was that our defense is looking better. I understand what they're trying to do. It just, as a fan, it's not exciting to us. If you know what I'm saying, getting used to all the sacks that we'd get in the years past, the creative blitzes that we did. Now, I'm going to give Donatell credit. There was a few occasions where he blitzed in this game, and when he does, it's super effective. Maybe we could just do it a little bit more. And again, individual efforts like a Dantzler breaking up a play that he gave up easy the week before. He is starting to get the defense. So, you can win with a defense like this only if your offensive score points. So we got to score some more points, put some more touchdowns. We weren't very good in the red zone, but we shot ourselves on the foot at least twice where they could have been touchdowns. And it comes together. This Donatell defense is a play from my head defense, and makes in individual efforts by players, and they really preaching, and this is great. They're really preaching causing turnovers, and it's showing. You see us punching at the ball every time we tackle somebody.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see the Vikings offense go against this Bears defense, because I think the Bears defense they've got some good players on the defense, but it's definitely not. I don't think it's as good as the Saints defense, to be honest with you.
We do have a good thing going for us, that their special assistant is our special assistant, or our head coach, or assistant head coach now.
Is that Ficken?
Pettin.
Oh, Pettin
was
you mean the Bears?
Was a special assistant for the Bears last year, and they were a 17th ranked defense.
With the Chargers, yeah.
Yeah, 17th ranked defense. Pettin, he was their special assistant for defense last year, and he was an advisor for the defense, because he's been a head coach, he's been a defensive coordinator, 3 years with the 3 NFC title games with the Packers. And he was, like I said, with the Bears last year. So we do got a nice little advantage that he was on that, coach of that defense last year. And hopefully we get a little insight from him about that. And I think we'll have a pretty good game plan against them offensively.
Yeah, and it's interesting. All 3 of our divisional home games are in the first 5 games of the season. I find that interesting. Now we get to go on the road for the final 3. And I don't like going home, or I don't like going on the road, rather, for those 2 late in the season,
right?
Chicago and Green Bay, when it's going to be 2 degrees or less outside.
And Soldier Field.
That'll be interesting to see how the Vikings can handle that. They handled it last year on a Monday night against the Bears, so We'll see. I'm glad it's not on a Monday night again this year.
Hopefully we get the first seed, and that last game don't matter, and we just sit everybody.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. That's for sure.
Is it studs and duds time, or?
I think so. Let's do that. Let's get on to studs and duds from week 4, and let's bring that up before we're kind of running out of time here as we get closer to kickoff. But let's go ahead and get into studs and duds. And Dave, I believe you are first up here today. There he is.
The man with roller skates.
Yes.
Marshon Lattimore. The first play of the game, he tries to intimidate Justin Jefferson by trying to whip him around. Obviously, he was going out of bounds. He decides to give him a little extra and then jaws with him after the play. I mean, he just got a first down on the first play of the game. So, yes, my friend, 10 receptions, 147 yards, mainly against you, and a pass interference call at the end of the game. And like you said in the stats here, no pass deflections. You, my friend, were on skates that entire game. You were terrible. You are my dud of the week.
Yes, it was not a good day for Marshon Lattimore.
That was beautiful.
And we will take it. Absolutely. Speaking of duds, here he is, Baker Mayfield. I have been a Baker Mayfield backer or stan or whatever you want to say for a long time. And the end of last year kind of lost me. And I am sticking by that today. Completion percentage, not bad, but 5.5 yards per completion, only 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and a fumble loss, and a loss to the Cardinals. And the Cardinals, they're not a bad team, but they're not as good as they have been in years past. So that's a game that the Panthers, if they want to compete in the NFC South, they should at least be close to winning, and they were for a little bit and then kind of got away from them. And Baker, man, you've just lost it. You've lost it, man. I don't know. You haven't maybe had it since college, or at least you had one good season, I guess, with Cleveland, but it's not looking good for old Baker. Not looking good for old Baker. So let's go ahead and bring in one of your studs here, Dave.
Yeah, Rashad Penny, he had a day, and he got even better by the end of the game. He broke their back on a 3rd and 16. And it was, a draw play, 3rd and 16. He almost houses it. There's a couple other plays where he probably could have broke it, but he tripped himself. But he had a great game, and it was against the Lions. Lions are 1-3. Yes, sir. Rashad Penny, 17 carries, 151 yards. 2 TDs, 8.9 yards per carry. The Seahawks, if they could put it together and maybe improve that defense, they may got something. They may be some spoiler games down the road for them. But that running game looked great, and Rashad Penny was awesome.
Yes, he was. Speaking of awesome, the vaunted Eagles, who we don't like to talk about for lots of reasons, but I got to give him credit. Miles Sanders had his best game of the season, 27 carries, 134 yards, averaging 5 yards a carry, a couple receptions, 22 yards, the 2 touchdowns there, as you see. And Jacksonville, granted, they were up by a lot in a couple of their wins, but they had not given up a 100-yard rusher to this point. So I think that says a lot about Miles Sanders getting going, and he was on my bench. So I'm a little upset about that this week for my fantasy team. And Javonte Williams.
You must have a good RB1 and 2, man. You must have a great RB1 and 2.
Nope, I made a mistake. I put Javonte Williams in my starting lineup, and obviously tough situation with him with his ACL, but I, for some reason, thought it was a good idea. He wasn't having a good game up to that point. That I've been making some questionable fantasy moves so far the last couple of weeks since my first win. But let's move on to your big stud right here. The man, the myth, the legend,
the Viking killer.
Rush.
The Viking
That's
killer
right.
Cooper Rush. He's 3-0 this year, but he's 4-0 to start his NFL career as a starter. The first being against the Vikings, which was a horrible game that we do not want to remember. 200. Now it's not because of the stats he had. It's because of the 4-0 start. And 223, 8 yards per completion. That's awesome. 2 TDs, 107 passer rating. Dak Prescott, who? These guys are 3-1. I thought they were out of it. Please forgive me, Cooper Rush. I did not have faith in you. Now I do. 4-0, Cooper Rush. Who the hell is Cooper Rush? He is the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, and he's got them rolling.
Cooper Rush for MVP next on Undisputed. All right, let's go on to Justin Jefferson.
From dud to
stud. I had him as a dud last week. I was disappointed in his performance a week ago, but he answered the call. He answered the London call this week, and I got to play a little gritty. Here you go.
Oh, look at that. This is a surprise.
Yes,
the gritty
indeed.
came to London. The gritty came to London. Man.
And we are all for it. We are all for it. Justin Jefferson went off against Marshawn Lattimore, as Dave already pointed out, and 14.7 yards per reception, the 40-yard catch to put the Vikings in field goal range off a phenomenal throw by Cousins. And, Justin Jefferson, welcome back, man. It's been a couple of tough weeks without you, but we are glad that you made the trip to London, and we are glad to have a London gritty, man. That was fun to see. So that is my other stud of the week. So, and that leaves us with these NFC North standings after the first quarter of the season, with your Minnesota Vikings leading the division 3-1, a half a game up on Green Bay with the victory in week 1. And then you see the rest of the division, and the Vikings are the only 2-0 team in division play so far this season. So that is something to note, and we'll see if they're 3-0 after Sunday.
I think most people had us, the brightest was 5-1 because we think we lose the Packers on the road. There are some people that had us 3-3 losing the Lions. I've seen people predicting we'd lose the Lions first game of the year, preseason. There was a guy from ESPN having us win 6 games and we're going to lose to the Bears. That could still, we still got to play them. So right now it's looking good. And this doesn't tell the whole picture. There's a lot of 3-1 teams in the NFC conference. It's not looking as, it doesn't look like the AFC is going to wipe the floor with the NFC, because there has been some victories, like a Denver losing to a Seattle. That wasn't supposed to happen. Seattle was like a Super Bowl contender. Denver was a Super Bowl contender. Seattle was supposed to be dog crap. Here it's not looking as much like that. Some of the NFC teams, maybe it's the coaching, who knows, that are keeping the NFC looking pretty competitive this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things continue to go in the NFC and the league. It was a fun, what was there, 9 games decided by a score yesterday? It was a crazy day of football across the NFL yesterday. But waiting here to get Tony in, our guy, to help us give us our predictions, try and beat us here on our pick 6 coming up here.
Here's one point I could make about
go for it.
The Saints game is Lewis Cine, man. There was so much talk going into that game that we wanted to see him play. He actually got in, I think, on defense for one snap. So they were going to put him in. He gets hurt. He has to spend probably a week almost in London. And my prayers go out to him to full recovery. Now, one thing about that is the Vikings could have just folded. They see an ugly injury like that, and I have not wanted to go see the tape on that. And in fact, the NFL was like censoring it and doesn't want it out there just because how gruesome the injury was. Now, it's not a ligament tear; it's a broken bone. As long as there's no vascular or nerve damage, this is a completely recoverable injury. Hopefully, that's the case. There's no word on that yet, but he had surgery in London, so hopefully full recovery. And but it was great that the Vikings kept their nerve after seeing something like that and went and won that game. And it really was an emotional thing for them. It really hurt them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Keeping their cool and battling through adversity. That's been the theme of the last 2 weeks for your Minnesota Vikings. So let's bring in Tony. Hey, Tony, how's it going, man?
What's up, my man?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
I love what you said. Don't forget about the Ponder special. You and I both remember that he would be running around and he would just throw it up in the air and for anybody to catch it. And I'm like, what are you doing? You did that so many times.
Oh, it was brutal. Brutal.
Case Keenum did that too, except his were caught.
Yeah, this is true.
His found the right hands.
Yeah, that's right. Well, man, are you ready to make some picks and make us look silly? I guess, you know what, before we do that, Dave, I suppose we should say how we did last week. We all went 4-2. I took the Cowboys to win. Got that right. And I actually went with the under on Saquon, stupidly, for total yards last week. And then went over on CeeDee Lamb, and I went under on the spread, and over on the spread, and it nearly got over, but not quite. So
thanks to Cooper Rush and CeeDee Lamb,
yeah, that's right. I went over on Cooper Rush's passing yards. He got it by 5 yards, so there we go. We go.
I was like, damn, stop throwing the ball.
So 4-2 for all of us. Rapp was 4-2 last week as well. Joined us as our guest picker. So, what do you think? 4-2, not a bad start.
Yeah, we're all 4-2.
Not too bad.
Yeah, you got a lot of pressure, man. You got a lot of pressure as our guest picker.
That's right, Tony.
Hey, is there anything you want to say about the Vikings before we do?
Yeah. I mean, you guys covered everything. I'm excited. I'm excited that we're 3-1. I think that this team has a lot to build on. Certainly, we're in a position where, a lot of work to do. But I'll certainly take 3 wins. As I told Carson yesterday, I predicted us at 2-2. So I'll take 3-1 all day. And I think next week we're going to be set up for hopefully a big win and a big confidence booster. And I think if this team gets some confidence, watch out.
Hey, I also want to thank you for joining us after I momentarily lost your name in my head. So I appreciate you still sticking with us. And let's go ahead and make the picks. 49ers are actually favored, or at least they were yesterday when we were putting this together. They're favored by 1.5 points at home. I think that's probably the only reason that they're favored over the Rams tonight.
I don't get this one.
Yeah, so I think I'll go ahead and let Tony lead us off here, the guest picker, man. What do you think?
Making me go first. All right. This is a tough one to pick. I think that I'm gonna take the Rams because that seems like the obvious choice, but I still don't feel great about it.
Okay. So he's taking the points. All right, Dave.
I'm going with the Rams. They just couldn't move the. Well, you know what? The last game, the 49ers was getting the ball at their own 2-yard line a lot. The special teams were pinning both teams back, so that might have been pretty deceptive. That would deceive me into picking the Rams against them this week. But you got to think the Rams are a better team than them. They're starting to show that they're the same, a similar team that they were last year. So I go with the Rams.
Yeah, I think we've got a trio of yeses for the Rams right here. So I'm going with the Rams. I I think the 49ers could make it close, and I think that's why they probably have the spread where it is. But I'll take the Rams in this game, which leads us to our next under or over or under 42.5 points. And I am going to go over. I think that bit me last week. I'm going to say over. I think it's going to be it might not be much over that, but I am going to say it's going to be more than 42.5 points. Whether it's the Rams running up the score or it being a close game in the 20s, I think I'm taking the over. What do you think, Dave?
I was thinking the Rams would score some points, like 24-30, somewhere in there. And all I need is the 49ers to just be a little bit competent to get close to that. So yeah, if the Rams get to 30, for sure this is over. I'm going over, and we're picking the same thing. So we'll see what Tony's got here.
All right, Tony, what do you got?
In a week full of really low over and unders, because we had a lot of low over and unders this week. I can't stand it, first of all.
Last Monday was 39.5, so yeah.
I'm also going to pick this over. I think that the reason why, and certainly Vegas is smarter than I am, right? Because they have a lot more money on the line than I certainly do. But I believe that part of the reason why we see a low over and under here is because San Francisco's defense on paper has looked so good. But we forget that San Francisco has played Chicago, Seattle, which I get they put up a lot of points last week, but week 2 Seattle's looked a little different than they do now. And then Denver in week 3, which again is still that kind of little settling offense that Russell Wilson is running. So I think it goes over. I don't think it's close. I got bit yesterday because I took the Vikings under at like whatever that was at, something stupid like 42. So I'm not going to get bit again. I'm taking the over.
And Shane says 49ers in the over.
All right. Shane's got 49. 49ers in the over. All right. Very well. All right. He's got to go against us. We're just all going in line here, so we got to have a little variety. So appreciate you.
I know. Yeah, this isn't making for good television. We're all agreeing on the same thing.
That's right. Well, let's go on to the over under for Stafford for the game. Over under 250.5 passing yards for Matthew Stafford. Let's go. Let's start with you, Tony. What do you think?
Under. I think it's going to be under. I'm not going to say it's going to be significantly under. I say this because the Rams offense currently is on average outputting 253-ish yards a game through the air. And I do think that while San Francisco's probably a little bit of that, I think they'll be. Oh, can you guys still hear me okay?
Yes.
You're breaking up, but we get you.
Yeah.
You guys got me okay now? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, we can.
Can you hear us? Maybe that's the better question.
Hopefully it's a little better now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm going under. The Rams are not as far as their yardage is concerned, they're about that on average. And I think San Francisco's got a pretty good defense. He goes under.
All right. I'll go and then I'll let Dave go. I've got the over, partly because I want to see Cooper Kupp. We're losing Tony here. But
he can text us what he says.
Yeah. I'm going to go over. It probably won't be by much, but I'm going over. I need Cooper Kupp to have a big game, so hopefully Stafford also has a big game. So yeah, I'll go over. What do you got, Dave?
Well, damn it. I'm glad he picked under so I could pick over, but you picked over again. And you're probably going to pick over for Cooper Kupp now, it sounds like. So yeah, I'm going over. I'm going over with Stafford.
Stafford goes under, yeah.
And he says Stafford under. So yeah, we're both going over with Stafford.
All right, Deebo Samuel, over under 86 total yards. Tony, if you want to just put yours in the comments. I am going to go under, and I think Dave is also going under here.
Why? I think it's because you can see my notes.
I don't know.
Just
I
kidding.
don't know what you're talking about.
Damn it. We're going to pick the same thing. You know what? Let's see. Deebo Samuel. I will go I'm going to change mine.
Change it just
to over.
Just
boom, over. I'm going over on Deebo Samuel just because you went under.
I just don't think he's going to have a good game against Jalen Ramsey, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Stafford over by Shane. Okay. How about
you guys over
Shane Samuel's got over too. Tony rather. Jeez, getting my names mixed up again. All right. Very good. And Cooper Kupp over, baby. Here we go. Taking me for my win. Taking me to 2-2 in my fantasy league. Hopefully. Question mark. But I got him over. I don't think the 49ers have anybody that can defend Cooper Kupp. And I hope he has 40 points. Going on to you, Dave.
I got him over. Although that's a pretty high number, I think. He's going to be over.
Yep. Tony, you can go ahead and put that in the comments if you think over under on him.
93.5, Tony.
Yep, 93.5. Here we go. And then I got to go with a lock as Cooper Kupp for a touchdown as well. I mean, I've got to. It's got to happen. Otherwise, I'm going to lose. So Cooper Kupp for a touchdown. That's my touchdown lock. And then, yeah, Tony, you can say whoever you think is going to score a touchdown tonight as well.
Kupp, I imagine.
Kupp.
I think
goes under. Okay.
Kupp goes under. What about your lock? I want to see your lock for touchdown. Kupp? Who's your lock for a touchdown, Tony?
Okay, I'm guessing it's Kupp. No, maybe not. Who's your lock for a touchdown? Who you think's going to get a touchdown tonight, Tony? How about you, Dave? Who's your lock?
I'm going against the grain just because you went Kupp.
Okay. All right.
Nope, I'm going Kupp. I can't. I'm going Kupp. I don't trust anybody else on these two teams, so I'm going Kupp. I'll give you the one difference, and I'm going with who'd I say?
Deebo for the lock on the TD. Okay.
So he's going Deebo. Yeah, I'll go Kupp. And then what's the one difference that we have?
What's the one difference we have? I think
Deebo. Yeah, I'm going over. You going under. So we have one difference out of 6. The pick 6.
Yeah, you went
under the lights.
Who did you go for? Oh, you did go for Kupp for your lock. That's right.
I'm going Kupp. I'll write that down.
Write that down. All right. That's the last Purple Daily mention we will make on this show today, and that is going to do it, I think, for the show. Hey, everybody, really appreciate you tuning in today. Make sure to go ahead and subscribe to Minnesota Sports Talk right there, and then Skull Purple Podcast on YouTube as well.
And Tony, put your Twitter or any social media so I can follow you, man.
Yeah.
And then go to Minnesota Sports Talk if you haven't already, and follow me on YouTube.
Yes. Subscribe, man. Subscribe. Deebo lock, Kupp under, 2.5 TVDs given by Rams. Okay.
And share your social media.
Yes. He on TikTok, he's at Steggy Stories. He's got a pretty good following on the old talk.
I'll follow you there, man.
Which we're still on the way with that, but appreciate everybody tuning in. Anything else before we go, Dave?
No, man. This is a game that's going to show us who we truly are. We all think we need to win by 2 scores against the team. We'll find out if we've turned it around and that we can beat the Bears by 2 scores or not. It's at home. We play well at home. We play well against the Bears at home, I believe. there was games where we had to sit players. We ended up playing Chicago at home at the end of the season. That was a playoff. That was when they were a playoff team. They are not the same team as they are now. We should win this game, and hopefully we go away happy, not just because we won, but how well we played. And this is the game to do it, man. This is the game to do it.
Very good. Well, and as always, what do we got here from Tony? Oh, no. Good show, fellas. Hey, appreciate it, Shane.
Thanks Shane. Appreciate it. Thanks for showing up. Man.
Really appreciate it. And as always, Packers suck, number one. Skull, number one. Number two, Packers suck. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. And we'll catch you next time, next Monday night. Join us back here, 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern time. See you guys.